why are we still talking about a basketball player who sits on the bench? Because he does crazy stuff like this. He gets the ball, then casually dribbles it behind his back around Dallas's best defender, and even Luka can't stop him. Pretty much nobody can stop Bol Bol when he's playing like this. He just scored 19 points, which was his best game ever. 19 points might not sound like a big deal, but you can't look away when he's playing. He looks so weird compared to other big, tall players. He's super long. Watch this. Malcolm Brogdon has lots of space, but Bol still blocks his shot with a... What's that sound even mean? Then he dunks on the other end. This crazy athletic ability and long arms is why we still talk about a bench player. But wait, where have I seen this move before? Oh yeah, Victor Wembanyama just did this exact same thing, and everyone went crazy. So why did we forget about Bol Bol? Because people thought his career was finished a few months ago. But we just found out what was stopping him this whole time. But first, some of you know I just became a dad. He was on my live stream the other day, so I've been thinking about money a lot more lately. Today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is helping me with that. Rocket Money is a money app that helps you save more and spend less. Let me show you my app on my phone. Before you get excited, these numbers are fake. But one thing it helps you do is cancel subscriptions. I can see all my monthly payments here, and whoa, what is I immediately called my wife and asked why we pay for GoPoof. We only used it once. The cool thing is Rocket Money will cancel any subscription with one click in their app. Another tool helps you save money. If I click on this saving tool, there are two different ways for me to save, and it sets up automatically. There's so much useful stuff Rocket Money can do. So if you guys want to try it for free and get even more cool features, go to rocketmoney.com/amhoops or click the link below. Thanks again to rocketmoney.bol. Bol's dad was Manit Bol, who was once the tallest NBA player at 7 feet 7 inches tall. They came from a rich family in Sudan. Manat's grandfather was the chief of their tribe and had about 40 wives and 80 kids. The way Manit met Bol's mom is pretty normal. You know, he saw her across the room, thought she seemed cool, paid 80 cows to marry her, and they had 10 kids. One of those kids was Bol Bol, who grew up in America because his dad was accused of being an American spy by the Sudan government. By the time Bol was in high school, he was a 5-star player that everyone wanted in 2018. But there were lots of questions that followed him to the NBA. The first question was if he even loved playing basketball. People said mean things about his attitude. Lots of players are talented but only play for the money. Then he hurt his foot in college and only played 4 games instead of being picked early in the draft like people thought he was picked 44th. He barely played for Denver, but when he did, it was amazing. In his first game in the bubble, he blocked Troy Brown Jr. on one end. Then Nikola Jokic said, "Give me the ball." But Bol said, "Nah, I'm good," and shot a 3-pointer instead. But then they didn't use him almost at all. If you look at both game records, the next season, he either played 5 minutes of garbage time or Coach Mike Malone just chose to sit him on the bench. The coach said he told Bol, "No one questions your talent or abilities, but what has been questionable is maybe your work ethic, your commitment, your discipline." So it was attitude problems at first, but when he was buried on the bench, apparently Bol would get grumpy and didn't play with energy. And when he got a chance, he was upset, and I get it. If you are a 5-star player who was supposed to be picked early, why aren't you getting playing time? Even when you played great. in the bubble. But the Nuggets wanted him to act more like a grown-up professional, and he never did. So they traded him to the Pistons, where his career almost ended, in January 2022. Denver traded Bol Bol for Rodney Magruder and a draft pick, but the trade was canceled when Bol Bol failed his medical check. It turned out he had a foot problem that needed surgery, the same thing that made him miss most of college and fall in the draft. Foot problems are like a curse for NBA big men. It's what ended Yao Ming's career and Finals MVP Bill Walton's career too. People were calling Bol a failure, which is harsh for someone picked 44th. But the Magic loved taking chances. This is a team that has been boring since Dwight Howard took them to the finals in 2009. If you want to see how to mess up rebuilding a team, look at the Magic. They traded Dwight for a package of 2 draft picks and Nikola Vucevic. They also got Tobias Harris, drafted Victor Oladipo, and Aaron Gordon. A nice little group, but not as good as Devin Booker, who they passed on for Mario has. Then they made a great pick with Domantas Sabonis in 2016, which they ruined by trading Oladipo and Sabonis for Serge Ibaka, who was terrible. They gambled on older players instead of keeping their good young talent, and it failed. So it was years of being mediocre before they tore it all down that they got Bol Bol for a second-round draft pick. But a big trade changed everything for the franchise. Out of nowhere, the Bulls traded Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, and 2 picks for Vucevic, a huge overpay. But they had a new front office guy trying to make their star Zach LaVine happy. The next year, they got DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, Lonzo Ball, and lost in the first round. That's going to be their ceiling. But that's a different story. The Magic robbed the Bulls because Wendell Carter Jr. is already a better center than Vucevic, and almost 10 years younger. Orlando used one of those draft picks for Franz Wagner, who could be a superstar player one day. That trade would never happen now, but Chicago panicked and the Magic took advantage. But they made up for it the next year with Paolo Banchero. Everyone thought Jabari Smith was going first overall until like an hour before the draft. And it turns out Paolo already looks like an NBA veteran, while Chet Holmgren is injured and Jabari is just okay. But the biggest surprise this year is Bol Bol finally getting playing time, and he's a real candidate for most improved player. That's why we're talking about a bench player. It turns out that foot problem in Denver might have been holding him back the whole time. The Nuggets didn't even know about it until they tried to trade him to Detroit. Then it needed surgery. How do you miss that? Maybe because Bol Bol didn't want to tell him and get buried even deeper on the bench. But thankfully he had surgery and he's finally healthy. His first double-double game was against Dallas. The highlight was blocking a Luka three-pointer on one end. Then Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero giving great passes to Bol Bol for the dunk. And Luka is the MVP right now. So when he blocks his three-pointer and at the rim, it's not like any other block. The best young big man in the league is Evan Mobley, who is also so long that he can block three. But when Bol Bol played him this year, he swatted a shot away like Mobley was a small guard. If you look at all the young, exciting teams in the NBA, you've got the Grizzlies and the Cavaliers. Both teams are riding on a young, electric guard as their best or second best player, but the Magic are betting big on weird, tall players. This was a lineup they used in their first game. The combined wingspan of this group is 37 feet. Now, lots of teams are getting bigger these days, but no young team is betting on big players as much as Orlando. So Bol Bol isn't just a freak who is fun to watch. He's actually part of the master plan for the Magic to take over the league, But Bol Bol isn't even the craziest comeback story in the NBA right now, which is hard to believe because he has quite an underdog story. It's actually Dennis Smith Jr., who was out of the NBA last year at 24 years old after being a top 10 draft pick, and now he's a starting point guard again. Check it out.